y'all. Hey, we gonna have a late night conversation just for a little bit. And we gonna talk about how you can find love after abuse. Hopefully you all can hear me. This air is pretty loud. So I'm gonna give it a little minute, let you all come on in the room. Hello. And then we gonna get started. How's your night going? Hopefully you all had a great night, a great day, I should say. I have been working on some courses to help people that are dealing with these types of issues, loss, and just different things. So that's what I was working on, some courses. So I'm just gonna get into it. So many women deal with the issue of abuse, and we can't ignore that men go through it too, but a lot of women have gone through it, like that I know of, including myself. And when you have gone through that, it makes you date differently. And I'm gonna say, because you're more guarded, you don't trust easily. Even when someone is good to you, it's like, okay, it's too good to be true. There's just like a lot of different things that goes on in your mind because you're trying to protect yourself, and you're not really able to enjoy the experience of dating. And so the other thing is, you become trapped in this replay mode where you are replaying the abuse over and over again in your head. It makes you question yourself, your self-worth. And then at times you become the aggressor. You can be, it can be where, you are feeling like you're on the other side of it, right? You've gotten your power back, you've built your self-confidence, and then maybe you double back to that person, or maybe you get someone who maybe resembles that person, and you might take it out on them, and then you become the aggressor. So there are a lot of things that wind up happening as a result of dealing with abuse. So let's first talk about abuse. There are different types of abuse. You have sexual, you have physical, you have emotional, you have spiritual, you have verbal, you have psychological, you have monetarily, like monetary abuse, or financial, where the person is holding up the funds to try to control you. And so some of these are self-explanatory, but I'm just gonna say abuse is never something that's blatant at first. It is something that starts off gradually, but the signs are there. The signs are actually there. And the person usually does things, so that you can gain their trust. And it's like a gradual demeaning, where they are starting off verbally saying things, maybe telling you what you should and should not put on, trying to control the relationship with your friends or family by planting little seeds, telling you that you would never find someone like them, is what a lot of abusers do. They try to put you in isolation. It's a lot of subliminal things that they do. comparing you to other people, other women. Women would probably compare the man to another man. Things that'll tear down your self-esteem purposely. And then, a lot of spouses who deal with abuse have talked about the monetary piece of it, or living, relationships, or living girlfriends or whatever. They'll say like the man was trying to, he didn't let me have funds to just do certain things. I couldn't go out, I couldn't, pay bills, I couldn't, like, he literally holds up the funds so that you are not able to buy necessities on purpose, just to make you need him even more. Hello. So and it becomes damaging. Like, the purpose is to damage you emotionally, to tear down your spirit, to make you rely on that person even more. And it's consistent, like, pulling. So it's like a yo-yo. And then they'll like, hey, hello, how are you? Then they will keep playing on your emotions, and you wind up walking on eggshells. That's essentially what abuse does. And so, hello. So then once the verbal happens, it turns into physical. Once they have torn you down, they have demeaned you, they have isolated you, they have done all of these subliminal things, now here comes the physical. And it can be from biting, it can be from, hitting, it can be different levels, because I even had a girl stop me in the store. This was a couple years ago, actually, and she just started telling me some stuff about what her partner was doing. I have no idea why she felt comfortable with having this conversation with me, but I literally was going to check out, and she was telling me that her partner was sexually abusing her. And it was a lot of, like, she was real graphic with it, and I was actually shocked. But I realized in that moment that things that I've gone through, is to help somebody else. So in that moment, I was able to help her, talk to her, and tell her, you can actually do better. Like, he is not the end all be all. Like, and I have to share with her the things that I experienced on my end. And she was just like, wow, I would never believe that you would have gone through anything like that from the way that you look, And I'm like, because I did work on myself. And I'm a different person than what I was then. So, hello. So, after having a conversation with her, I don't know what happened, but I just gave her a few gems that I use, and, just encouraged her. And so, hopefully, she left that situation, because it was pretty bad. But so the thing is, how do you break free? So once you have gone there and you've been there so many times, how do you break free? It is because you make up in your mind to do so. If you are not ready, you're not going to do it. You have to make up in your mind, and it starts with a decision to say, I won't let this person treat me this way. I deserve better. You have to decide to take your power back. And I know it sounds more difficult And it can be difficult, especially when you've had a long-standing history with this person. When you have known this person for some time, or maybe it's a series of people, because some people have been in cycles of abusive relationships, not just one. They've been in different situations, and it really boils down to saying, you know, I love me more than I love you. And you have to decide to take your power back. And so knowing that you deserve better and leave. And the thing is, once you make up in your mind to leave and you take the step to leave, let's just say you go ahead and you leave, you're like, I'm done. They will try a lot of different tactics to get you back. The crying, the, you know, the I'm sorry's, the this, that, whatever. And so that is actually the hardest part, because your heart is still there and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? Like, how do I really, you know, navigate this? Like, how do I stop talking to you, because you've essentially been a part of my life, and I need you to understand that you can no longer treat me this way. So that's pretty much the hard part. Hello, is once you've made up in your mind to leave and you take the action to leave, and then they come begging to have you back, that's the hardest part. And that's when you really have to be like, you have to put up a fight, because the fight is now within you to remain strong and say, you know what, I really love me, I really value me, and that I cannot bend on that, I can't budge on that. And it takes some ignoring. It takes some, you know, not answering the door, maybe changing your number, maybe telling friends, if you decide to tell friends and family. And I do encourage that, because the people around you, you need a support system. The people around you need to know what's going on. When I went through that, I did not tell anybody. Like, I didn't blatantly tell anybody. But you will need a support system. You will need people that you can talk to, that you could, I hope you all can hear me, that you all can, hopefully this thing is not, I can't do nothing about that. But hopefully it's just not so loud that you can't hear this conversation. Hello. So I'm just gonna go right into my story, so that you have a little background and understand how come I know what I know. So I went through different cycles of abuse. So as a child, as a teenager, molested, raped, and then when I became an adult, the guy that I was dating, and mind you, like, I would have never thought, he became abusive. And so it was early 20s, you know, I'm 37 now, but early 20s, and he was a big part of my life, because I've known him and we've been friends since we were teenagers. So when it started, it was real subliminal, because it didn't start until we started dating. It was almost like a light bulb switched on, and it didn't start until we got together. And it was just like a different person. He was like a totally different person. But low-key, knowing what I know about his background, it was possible that he would be that way because of his family history. And so, because I was so young, I had no clue about, you know, looking at people's family history and their emotional stability, and I had been dealing with my own traumas and not really dealing with them then. Let me be honest. I wasn't dealing with anything. I was just going through the motions of a lot of things, and I wasn't fully present in the relationships that I did have. So, in that relationship, I wasn't fully present, but at the same time, because I had a level of trust with that person, it was different to me. And so once I got into the relationship and the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing started going on, where he turned into somebody that I didn't know, I was just like, what is this? Like, he was telling me how to dress, what to do, how to do it. And at first I'm like, okay, he was probably looking out for me. You know, that's what you think. Okay, they looking out. And it started getting a little crazy to where we would go out and he would spaz out because somebody tried to talk to me. Lo and behold, I was not trying to talk to them, but he would not listen. So it was always, okay, we gotta go. He would be like, okay, you know, you can't talk to these people, you can't be around this person. It became real crazy, like, and from there is when it got physical. So it got physical. The first time was when we went out, and a guy was trying to talk to me, and he just was like, let's go, and it got physical in the car. The next time, we were out again. It was like when we went out, and we went out a lot, like that's when things would go left. And the last time that he did that, we were at his cousin's house, and you know, I'm on the phone talking to one of my friends, and he's like getting upset because he's like, you know, who are you talking to, and all this other stuff. And it just got physical and went left real quick. But that was the very last time. Why? Because I spazzed completely out. I was like, you are not gonna continue to do this. You are not gonna put your hands on me and act like I'm a freaking punching bag. And I just wailed. Like, I lost it. I blacked out. I can't even tell you exactly what I did, but I was, when they say commence the beating, that's what I was doing, because I was like, you will not. So it shocked him, I would say that, because he was so used to having the upper hand that it was just like, what's going on? And I was like, I'm leaving. I cannot do this. You're not about to be putting your hands on me. Like, how do we go from this to this? Like, I'm like, no, I can't do this with you. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't nothing me. So I go home. He's blowing on my phone. The next day he stopped by the house. I didn't answer. Like, I didn't come to the door. He was like trying to get access, and I just went cold. Like, I went cold because I was just looking like, how did I allow this to get to this point, right? So and I kept replaying the stuff in my head. And that's why I say, when you're healing, the first thing you have to do is forgive yourself. That's the very first thing. But then stop replaying the events in your head, because then you start picking apart maybe what you've done or what you could have done differently to have a different outcome. And that's not the case. Like, there's nothing that you could have done, because they were going to do it all along. And realizing the signs is key. And also following your intuition. There was some intuition when it came to that situation, because once we started dating and things started going left, I started to feel like a tug in my spirit Then I didn't have a spiritual connection like I have with God now. But, you know, God was tugging at me. I'm not even gonna lie. And he was literally telling me to get out of that because that person was unhealthy. And that's the other part. So I'll go back to that. Hello. So the cold turkey, you gotta be cold turkey. You gotta be cold turkey. You can't be answering the calls and answering the phone and doing all this stuff. You gotta literally be like, you know, enough is enough. So I did that for 2 years. For 2 years I didn't talk to him, but in the 2 years I was building up my self-esteem. I was talking to myself like, you gotta heal, this wasn't your fault. It was something inside of me. That was all God. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, at that time I hadn't even gone to counseling. I didn't go to counseling until years later. But I was just like, I am not gonna be a victim. Like, I'm not a victim of none of this nonsense. It's time for me to get myself together and to be different, do different. And so it was something that I made up inside of me to do. It had nothing to do with anyone else. And I'm like, before you came along and started this nonsense, I should have been building my self-esteem, because you would have never been able to get to this point if I truly, you know, loved myself or had the self-esteem and self-confidence that I should have had. You would have never been able to get to this point. So that's what I did. I worked on myself. So 2 years later, and then the other part was I forgave him. I know y'all probably looking like, what? How, Sway? How? Because forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. It's a release. And I had to release him to God, like, because God really fights all your battles for you. You don't even know it. So I had to release him to God, and I forgave him. And lo and behold, 2 years later, he's like, we need to talk. We really need to talk, because I shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry. Can we have a conversation? Now, I don't recommend this. I do not recommend this. I do not recommend having a conversation, because you may not be ready for it, and it may make you revert backwards. And so during this time, I actually said, okay, we can talk. But this was my my curse, or my precursor. Like, this was this disclaimer that I had. I was like, if you put your hands on me, you're gonna see God. I'm gonna smile in my mugshot if you put your hands on me. And your kids will literally be standing over your casket if you put your hands on me. Though that was my disclaimer. And I was not playing. I was not playing at all. So I went ahead, talked to him, and for the first time, he was bawling like a baby. And I had never seen him like this. I wasn't moved either, because it happened 2 years, and I had time to actually sit and think about the fact that I did nothing to you, and this was what you did to me. And I was just like at a different place where I just looked at him like, what are you crying about? Like, that's how I felt. What are you crying for? You did this to me. Like, and he was apologetic, saying that he wanted to get help and all of this different stuff. And at that time, I was just looking like, whatever. Because it was literally at a point where I was like, there was nothing else that could be done to me at that point in my life that wasn't done already. Like, that's where I was. And so I had zero emotions. And I tell you, that is a scary place to be, because I wasn't completely healed. I had just started, but I was at a place where you couldn't do nothing to me. Like after that, you couldn't say nothing to me. You couldn't. It was like nothing. You hear me? Nothing. Like if you look at me the wrong way, and I had already been like this, but I was really like fight mode all the time. I didn't care what it was. I was like, I'm coming for you. There was no me being nice and figuring out whatever the situation is later. It was me being aggressive, and whatever happens, and I didn't care. So he apologized, he cried it out, he did all these different things, and I was just looking like, in my mind, like, okay, you done? But I didn't say nothing. I was just quiet, and he was just looking like, okay, like, do you have anything to say? And I was just like, I forgive you, but at the same time, like, I don't trust you. We cool from a distance. Like, you got some things you need to figure out in your life, but you're not ever gonna put your hands on me ever again in this lifetime. Like, no. So after that conversation, it took some time before I talked to him again after that conversation. And I will say, I did start dating him again. There was no abuse. Because one, he knew that I had a different level of crazy at that point. And I'm gonna just say that. So I don't recommend anybody going back. I do not do that. But this is me being honest. I had a level of crazy that was just, like I said, you couldn't say anything to me. You couldn't do anything to me that hadn't been done. I was just like, I was out here like crazy, whole crazy. So this is when I say that you can become the aggressor, because when I doubled back and we started dating again, and this time, he wanted things to be more serious than what they were, and I'm like, no, we need to get the relationship right. We need to make sure that we get it right before anything else. So during that time, he would say like, be joking, and I would just come for him. Like, I would literally just come for him. He could not get, he couldn't get a word in edgewise. Like, I would literally be like gunning for him. And this is a real dangerous place, because then the victim becomes the abuser. Because I just started saying everything sideways because I felt like he deserved it. And that's when I realized, like, this is not good. It took some time though for me to realize that, because he wasn't doing anything at this point. He wasn't putting his hands on me. He started being mindful of what he said to me, because every time he would say anything, I would like hit the ceiling, because I had started, my healing journey, but I was not healed. I was not healed at all. So I would not recommend any woman to ever do that, because, or any person for that matter, don't double back. Get yourself all the way together, because if you're ready for something different, if you're ready to date, all it's gonna do is keep you in a cycle, hello, to where you're constantly on the defense, because you're dealing with the person that put you in that situation or added to that situation, and essentially you're choosing to be back in that situation. So I wouldn't recommend it. And we've had a long stint of a relationship on and off, and I was that that person that was like gunning for him in every way. Even when he was like, I talked to a therapist, I did this, I realized my issues, I realized what was going on, I realized my wrongs, I realized all of these different things he had realized that he had done. But because because I wasn't in a healed space, I couldn't hear what he was saying, because I'm just like, I don't care what you're talking about, because this is what you did, and you just deserve everything that I give to you. That's not cool. That's not what you do. So what I would say to any person that has dealt with that, don't go back. Fix yourself. Get yourself all the way together. Know that you deserve more. Know that you are deserving of love that don't make you feel like you got to be on the defense. And get some therapy. Get some serious therapy. I'm actually working on a course surrounding heartbreak and trauma and all of that kind of stuff. So it's supposed to be released at the end of next month, so I'll keep you all updated on that. But go to therapy. You got to do the work, because you got to figure out how you got to that place. And then another thing, you wind up taking that stuff out on other people that didn't do it to you. And I am very guilty of doing that in my past, taking it out on people who did not do anything to me. And I had to really sit back and have a come to Jesus meeting with myself, because I have become toxic. I have become toxic and a ticking time bomb. You couldn't say or do anything to me. You couldn't, like, I was not good in relationships. I had them, but me going through those situations, maybe not a good partner for anyone, because I had not worked on myself. So no matter how many I love yous that somebody said, or no matter what they did, I always question in the back of my mind was whether or not they were being genuine, or did they really care. In my head, I'm like, nah, you really don't care, so I'm just gonna go along with the motions. I went along with the motions in a lot of relationships that I was in, and I was not healed. Like, I wasn't fully present. I wasn't no, they were ready for more, and I was stuck. I couldn't move forward, because I was like, if I marry you, and this is one of the reasons why I have not gotten married in the past, not presently, in the past. But it was, if I marry you, then now you have power over me, power to control me, power to do things to me, and I have to relinquish control to you. So for me, it was a power struggle. Ultimately, it was like, I don't trust nobody enough to give them that type of power over me. So that was one of the major reasons why I had been engaged, been proposed to a gazillion times, and never did it, because a part of me was like, I have to relinquish control, and I ain't about to do that. I'm not about to allow you to send me through nothing, and I don't have no say so, or I have to go through all of these different things to get a divorce, or like I'm stuck. And so I always looked at marriage as a death sentence at a point in my life. And so I wasn't free. Like, I had to really do work, really heal, in order to get a different mindset surrounding dating. And when I tell you, when I began to do the work on myself, my experiences were different, because I enjoyed going out on dates and meeting people and understanding what it is that I wanted, understanding what it is that I needed in a partner. It was more of an experience rather than just going through the motions, or let me hurry up, because a lot of women go through this where they try to hurry up and settle down in order to not have to meet someone else or possibly get it wrong. I was enjoying the experience at that point. So I feel like you should, though. You really should, so that it helps you to become comfortable again with actually going out and dating. So you should date. Don't try to rush into a relationship. Just go through the experience of going out, getting to know someone. But you can also just start to discern, and this is the other part. Stop bypassing that little voice inside of you that tells you that something is not right. When that little voice inside of you tells you that something is not right, start opening your eyes and paying attention, because there are signs. Like, look at, okay, how do they talk about family and friends? Like, what that relationship is like. Start paying attention to those things. Start looking at, okay, how do they engage with their child's mother if they have children, or their child's father, if you're a man. Start looking at what it really is. Look at this person for their character, not the potential. And that is the other thing that a lot of people that have been abused have done. They look at potential rather than the actual person. They're like, okay, well, they can possibly get through this, or they can possibly be different, or they can possibly, if they ain't done no work on themselves, they can't possibly nothing. If they ain't got Jesus, a therapist, and they actually doing work on themselves, ain't no possibility of nothing happening. They gonna be the same person today like they was yesterday. And they can tell you, like, no, I'm not the same person. Did you go to therapy? Have you done the work? If they ain't did it, don't even come up with no extra conclusions in your head or possibilities of what it could be, because it's not gonna be. It's gonna go back and revert back to some nonsense, or they gonna show you a new version that might be more toxic than the previous version. So you have to use your discernment. You gotta ask for discernment, and that is something that I encourage people to do when they're dating. If you have, a relationship with God, if you believe in God, ask for discernment with the people that you are connecting with, and ask him to show you who they really are, so that you can see for yourself. Because a lot of times when you have the love goggles on, or you're infatuated with a person, there's a lot of things that you will miss. But these are things that you need to really not be missing. You have to pay attention to the red flags, but you also got to pay attention to green flags too. Don't always look for red flags in every single situation, but make sure you keep your eyes open, because there might be some things that, are happening. But also look for the positive when it comes to your dating experience. If they are well-mannered, have good relationships with people, don't start looking at this is too good to be true. That's fear. When you look at a person like they're too good to be true, and they're treating you well, they're talking to you well, they're opening a door, they're sending you texts, they're constantly thinking about you, and they show you that, bringing you flowers, maybe bringing you lunch, they engage, with you, and they want to include you in their family. They're not taking away from you, they're building you up. And by building you up, that means whatever it is that you're trying to do, they're encouraging you to do it. They are like, okay, well, how can I help you in this area? I see that this is what you want to do. This is when you have somebody good. I see you trying to do this. How can I help you in this area? Like, what do you need? Or they're like, okay, you've been stressed out, it's a lot going on, let me do some self-care for you. Let me take care of you by doing X, Y, and Z. This means that they are really in tune with you. This is not for you to be going and like, oh my goodness, it's too good to be true. Enjoy the experience. The other thing that I would say is abuse makes you guarded. It makes you very guarded. And sometimes you can tell a person too much too quickly. So when I say that, I mean telling someone that you have experienced abuse. I don't recommend telling that person out the gate. What I would recommend that you do is to see how the person treats you. See if it's getting to the commitment phase. If that person has stated their intentions, that they are ready to be in a committed relationship with you, and you feel like, okay, this is my person. Maybe you all are at the point where you are in a committed relationship and maybe you haven't divulged the information. This is something that you would have to share because they need to know this side of you. Don't do it in the beginning though, because there are some people that prey off of people that have been abused because they feel like, okay, well, if you've been abused, then I can do the same thing. There are some people that are like that. Like, okay, well, your standards must be low. Your expectations must be low. I have talked to women who have actually dealt with cycles of dating relationships. Now, I don't have that story, but I've actually talked to women who have had cycles of dating relationships from abuse to abuse. And one of the common threads is because they told the information up front. I know a man who has dealt with a cycle of abuse in his relationships, and it's because he told his trauma up front. And you have to keep that to yourself until you know that you all are at that place where you are committed, where maybe you have divulged. This is the other part that I would say, test it out. Don't tell the trauma part, but tell something like something that happened in a previous relationship or something that happened with you, and see how they respond to it. You don't have to tell the abuse part of it. Find something else. Come up with a different story of something that actually happened. But see what they do with that information. Now, if they use it against you, you already know what you're working with. But if they say, you know what, I understand, this, that, and the other, and I just, want to let you know that I am here for you, or whatever the case. If they are supportive and they never use that information against you, that is a plus. That is a major plus. So now going forward, once you make it to that commitment phase or the state where you all are maybe in the engagement phase and you're ready to divulge that information, then you tell it. If you need help in telling it, I would say do it with a therapist. Maybe because you all should be getting therapy. If you're in a relationship, there should be some type of relationship therapist or somebody that you're consulting with in order to effectively communicate and work through your issues. So I would say that both of you need a therapist and you need one together. But if you have your therapist together already on deck, then this is something that you should divulge in therapy, because then that therapist can help you navigate this, and you can tell the therapist up front what it is. They can help you navigate it, talk through it, and then you all can communicate, however you all need to in that situation. And if, again, you tell that person this information and they don't use it against you, that is a major plus. If they show that their level of concern for you, if they're like, okay, what can I do to help you so that you don't feel X, Y, and Z, or so that, I can make your life easier. Anytime somebody is trying to make your life easier by their actions, their words and their actions, that is a plus. Not something where you should be running from. You run because you're fearful. Actually sit there, listen, pay attention to the signs, and if that person is really showing that they are there, they are all in, stay there. the only reason why you run off is if they doing nonsense, they're cheating, they're hitting on you, they're, you know, doing all of these different things, the things that I named previously. But if it's green flags on the play, you know, everything is green, then stay with that person. And I know that it can be very difficult because they will force you to continue to heal, but it's necessary. And that's what a good relationship should give you, a different version, a better version of yourself. It should not take you into a level of yourself that you have gotten healed from. It shouldn't demean you. It shouldn't make you question yourself. It shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't do anything that is negative. Like, it shouldn't have anything that's negative. Now, I will say that nobody is perfect. No one person is perfect. You're not perfect. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So sometimes people are going to do things that does hurt your feelings. But if you knowingly know that it's a mistake, you know, it wasn't intentional, you know, they said something, you all were in a heated argument and they said something that was mean, or, you know, you asked them to do something and they didn't consider your feelings in the moment. It happens. But I'm talking about, and you know what I'm saying, I'm talking about that abuse, those abuse flags. When them abuse flags go up, it's time to be out of there. Don't try to go fix it, make it work, you know, all of these different things. Don't do it, because then you're going to wind up putting yourself in a situation that you are going to regret. It's going to cause more pain than what you had before. You're going to be in a complete cycle, and it's going to strip you of your self-esteem, and that is not love. It is not love. So what I will say is, at this point, once you have done the work and you see that whoever it is that you're with, you know, they have the green flags, they are healthy individuals, you know, not perfect, but they're healthy, they communicate, you know, they are willing to get help when needed, which is a big plus when it comes to men, because a lot of times men are not so quick to go get therapy. If they say therapy and them actually getting therapy is in their vocabulary, that is a plus, because there are a lot of men who don't even think that they even need that. If they are willing to put in the work with you, if they are, you know, concerned about you, all of these different green flags, green signs, then just enjoy the experience. Enjoy, you know, the dates. Enjoy the time, and actually see if you all are truly compatible. And that's the other part. Like, you have to see if you all are compatible, and it helps you to understand what you like, what you need. It going through dating experiences help you in that regard, but you can find love after abuse. It's very possible, but you have to do the work within you to heal, to be whole, to actually learn how to use discernment, to actually listen to your intuition when it's telling you that something is not right. Actually leave when you need to leave. But then once you have done the work and you've gone to your therapist and you've been intentional about being the best version of you, you've built up your self-confidence, your self-esteem, you've gotten on point with yourself, and you're ready to get out there, use the discernment that you have, use the intuition that you have, but also, you know, enjoy the experience. I will also encourage you to make a list. Make a list of your deal breakers. And I'm talking about real deal breakers. Not, if he don't make this amount of money, deal breaker. I'm talking about those deal breakers that are along the lines of abuse. Make the list of your deal breakers, those things that are triggering for you, because even though you go through healing, there may be times where you might be triggered by certain things, and those could be deal breakers for you, and that's fine. You're perfectly within your right to have that. For others, it might be a little triggering, but you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna explain to this person that, you know, I don't like when they do X, Y, and Z. Now, if they actually listen and they're conscious about not doing it because that's what you said you didn't like or you couldn't deal with, or whatever the case may be, then that's good. But if they like disregarding what you say, no, we're not doing that. So I would say to you, make your list of, you know, your deal breakers, and then make your list of, now don't do it on the same sheet of paper. Make your list of what a ideal partner looks like to you. What does that person look like? What do they smell like? What do they do for, you know, a living? What do they do for fun? Do they want kids? You know, healthy relationships with family, friends? Are they, you know, adventurous? Do they, you know, like dates and small talk? And, you know, will they cater to your needs? Will you cater to one another? Like, write your ideal list of your mate within reason. And I say within reason because coming up with the 6 feet tall and gotta have all of these different things, that is not a necessity. I'm talking about things that are a necessity because they are detrimental to your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, you know, well-being, like that part, the things that are detrimental to that part of you. And so making sure that all of these things are feeding your spirit. The person that is for you will feed your spirit, and it will feel good to your spirit. And they will stretch you. They will, because growth is different. When you're in a relationship that grows you, it's going to feel different. There's going to be a pull. There's going to be a struggle. You're going to have to release a little control. But go and have the experience. Hello. It is okay to experience love. Just do not jump into, I never recommend that someone jumps into a relationship like flat out. I think that you should gradually go into it because you need to see, you know, how the person interacts and engages. My go-to is the 6-month marker. I have a metrics or whatever, and 6 months is when you can see, you know, a person. You probably by then have had your first argument or disagreement or whatever, but you should be able to see a person in a different light where they're not just in the I'm trying to impress you mode. So 6 months to me is enough time for you to see a lot of different things, and you should really be paying attention. If you get to the 6-month mark and everything is good, you all are all good, and everything is like, and I'm not talking about fairy tale good, because if it's fairy tale good, and when I say fairy tale good, is when it's more like a love bombing situation for 6 months. There's something to be said on the other side of that. So you have to discern that part. Use your intuition, use your brain on that one. But if it's a genuine, you know, the person is intuitive, they are understanding, they are respectful, and all of these different things. You need to write that stuff down and stick to that. And you also need to watch the other parties. Watch what you're saying while you're dating. Stop dating being loose-lipped about men ain't this, that, and the other because of your dating experience, or women ain't this, that, and the other because of your dating experience. Like, stop saying those things, because then when you're speaking against something that you want. So if you want love to come to you, you want a good significant other, you have to speak those things into existence by saying there's love out here. You have to change your mindset and what you're even feeding yourself. There are a lot of affirmations that you can do surrounding love. I actually have some. I'm going to, because I actually have an affirmations book. It's not on this website that's in my bio, but I'm actually going to add it to the website it should be up on Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, the affirmations book should be up. And get that book. And it also has, it's a ebook. It also has an accompanying journal, 30-day journal. And you can do your affirmations. Write down your affirmations, say them to yourself. It's love, it's health, it's money. Say those things to yourself so that you can start to change your mindset and not fall into the victim mentality. That is the one thing that I never wanted to do, was be a victim. All of the things that I have experienced, I was just like, no, I don't call myself a victim at all. Those were experiences. And even though those experiences were of abuse, I don't refer myself to as a victim, because then I feel like there's a mindset that goes along with it that keeps you caged up. It keeps you guarded. It stops you from enjoying experiences, enjoying life. Because I'm going to tell you, I didn't really start working on myself until my 30s. So I've been in my 30s for 7 years. Prior to that, my 20s was spent caged up, locked up, guarded, not really enjoying life like I should. Everybody is enjoying life, and I felt burdened. Like, literally every day was a burden. It was a struggle. Now, you might have seen me chewing out here and going out and things like that, but I really was not enjoying myself. Like, I was just going through the motions and trying to self-medicate, because I was going out. I was drinking heavy. Like, I was drinking. I could drink men under the table because I was self-medicating. Okay, so I didn't start doing the work until I hit 30. Like, I really was like, I cannot be this way. I have to enjoy life. Like, I want different experiences. And I had some relationships in my 30s that, well, not some, too, but those were learning experiences, because there's a thing that happens sometimes where you can be healed and then you wind up dating someone who is not healed, and they are fragile, they are guarded, they are all of the things that you once were. It's very possible I did that, and it showed me how I was, and I'm grateful for that experience, because it showed me how locked up I was on the inside, but it also helped me to be free, of that part of my life, because I was no longer that person. So it just showed me some things about me, and I'm grateful for that. experience, and even, he and I are still, cool to this day, but he just has to do some work on himself, pray and get some therapy and all of those different things, and it's fine, and he divulged his experiences, and I didn't use them against him. I will tell you, I didn't use none of what he told me against him, because that's not the person that I am. I'm not going to use what a person tells me to go and be like, ha ha ha, you pissed me off or you hurt me. That's a sign of unhealedness, when you go and use what somebody has told you that damaged them, that broke them, as leverage for whatever they sent you through. Like, that's unhealedness. If you out here doing it, you're not ready. But hello. But when it comes to dating and finding love after abuse, is very, very possible. And hopefully you all have, gotten some nuggets from this. You can watch the replay, because this is gonna be on my Instagram probably until probably for a few hours, and then I'm gonna put it on my YouTube channel at Crown Convos with Tiana and Michelle, and you can go over there and view other videos that I have done on different topics: dating, finding your potential, and different things. So it's different conversations, but play this back, get the nuggets, and I will be releasing a course next month on grief, on dating, and trauma, so heartbreak and trauma, and there's some other things that I'm going to be offering as courses and classes, and actually some consulting. I'm opening the books for consulting, so you all will be able to get one-on-one sessions where you can ask me whatever, and we can actually work through some of the things so that you can find love again. You can be in a happy, healthy relationship. And if you don't know what that looks like, baby, I will show you what that looks like. I will walk you through what that looks like, and we will get down to it. If you are dealing with loss or grief, I do that too. If you're looking to find your purpose, I do that too. And if you are on the business side of life and you are looking to find that next business idea, I walk you through how to do that. And so, yeah, I do all of those things. If you want to connect, you just click the link in my bio. You can email me, and we can have a conversation. If you would like to join one of these conversations that I do every Thursday, you can, or pick the topic. If you want to talk about something you want to talk about, write in, let me know what it is. You can jump on the live and we can have the conversation. If you would like to do a live consultation, I am going to start doing that, where we can actually have a live consultation. I've had actually a few lives where I've done that in dating situations. So if that's what you want to do, just email me and we can get that done. So with that, you all, I hope that this information has helped you, and that you know that you can find love after dealing with abuse. You are not a victim, you are a victor, and you deserve the best. You deserve the best. So I will see you back here next week at the same time. I might do some lives in between, but I will see you back here next week. You have a great night.